Hi, this is Kim Shanley of Tennis Reach. Today begins a series of lessons titled Zombies and Athletes of God. Now that's quite a range. So we're going to have to work our way from the bottom up to the top. So let's first talk about zombies. So we all know what a zombie looks like. Yeah, that's them. And if we watched a few episodes of The Walking Dead, we know that zombies are dead, but only half dead. Today I want to talk about zombie-like action on the tennis court, what I call ZombieArm, otherwise known as the non-dominant arm. So what does ZombieArm look like? Well, there's quite a range. There's the limp ZombieArm, there's the mechanical ZombieArm, there's the let's be open to the world ZombieArm, and then of course there's the alligator arm ZombieArm. Now technically we know zombies are dead, but they're still alive enough to walk around the landscape causing all kinds of havoc. It's the same with ZombieArm. This ZombieArm has no energy, has no life. It doesn't resemble anything properly human, but it lives. And it too causes all kinds of havoc on the tennis court, robbing us of timing, rhythm, and certainly robbing us of power. Before we start in on a detailed analysis of this forehand, let's play it through so you can see the entire action. Here we see the ZombieArm effect with an intermediate high school player. She's no beginner. As you can see, she takes the racket back with her non-hitting arm in hand, like she's been taught, and as we all should do. We'll pause the video to show the initial non-hitting arm extension. Rather than extending the non-hitting arm in hand and fingers out towards the contact point, she has a de-energized arm and elbow bent, with the palm of the non-hitting hand pointed to the back fence. Everything seems focused backwards, rather than directing her intent and focus on the contact zone. A few frames later, we are at contact, and instead of her non-hitting arm and hand being rotated to the left, so the dynamic hitting side and arm can move freely through, her hitting hand and non-hitting hand have converged or collapsed together. Rather than both sides of the body, the hitting side and the non-hitting side working together to execute this shot, the two sides of her body are working in opposition to one another, with the non-hitting side and arm essentially blocking the free movement of the hitting arm and side. After contact, we see the hitting arm and hand are still together with the non-hitting arm and hand. Without the activation and integration of the non-hitting arm and side, the shot is only powered by the arm, and the action of the hitting arm and hand are extremely cramped. In the follow-through, we see the player has kept her left shoulder from opening up, but her non-hitting arm and side haven't contributed any power to the shot. Her non-hitting hand is palm up, signifying the ball is in the process of floating up. With a driving shot, the palm of her hand would be facing out or in, the result of containing and directing the energy of the shot forward and not floating upwards. Well, in case you were thinking ZombieArm is only a problem for club or intermediate players, let me show you a zombie forehand hit by one of the greatest players of all time, Pete Sampras. I filmed Pete in an exhibition match a while back, and just in general you can see that Pete isn't fully energized for this exhibition. And you really see this in his non-hitting side, including his non-hitting side leg, his non-hitting arm, hand, and fingers in the stroke. First he extends his non-hitting arm and hand with a half-dead energy. You can see the fingers are relaxed, as opposed to players we'll see later that stretch out the arm, hand, and fingers. We stop a few frames later, and his non-hitting hand has opened up, opening up his shoulders and hips before contact. You can also see he has not energized his non-hitting torso, hips, pelvis, and leg. At contact, you see he hasn't tucked his non-hitting hand in a real stabilizing action, but has it floating up and to the left. And rather than having hand and fingers braced for contact and containing the energy of the hit, as we'll see with Djokovic later, Pete's fingers seem to be twirling about above his non-hitting shoulder. Since his non-hitting side hasn't rotated away and locked into place soon enough, Pete's stroke looks pinched. And since his legs aren't driving up any energy into his pelvis and hips, Pete is simply arming the ball. A few frames later, you can see the result. Pete has pulled the shot to the left. Again, his non-hitting arm and hand are floating up and to the left instead of being tucked into the left hip or shoulder. At the end, the hit has been badly mistimed and the ball is going away left. His non-hitting hand and fingers continue to look casual and de-energized like the entire stroke. Pete had thousands of great forehands in his career. This obviously wasn't one of them. Make no mistake, zombie arm is a serious human affliction for which we have to find a diagnosis and cure.